Good morning. Welcome to the Crest Network webinar. This particular webinar is entitled Getting Your Message Noticed and Getting Your Message Heard. What we realize today is that there's an awful lot of noise in the world, especially for salespeople. The biggest challenge that you face is having people hear what you're trying to say. If you constantly hear just noise, you tend to tune things out. So what we're trying to achieve today is to help you understand how, in the picture on the right side of the screen, how you can stand out, how you can be different, unique, unusual, and have your message heard. If your message isn't heard, by the way, you don't have a sale. If nobody hears what you're saying, if nobody's actually listening and really understanding what you're talking about, they're not going to buy. So our hope is that you will stop spewing all of that useless sales talk. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Hopefully you have the right speakers turned on and the volume up and so forth. If you can't hear this, this will be archived on the Crest Network website on the members only section, and you'll be able to watch it later as well. One of the first things that salespeople often fall victim to is issuing or saying or talking platitudes. And by platitudes, I'm talking about dull or obvious or very predictable terminology, language, overused phrases, or unoriginal words or phrases. And I want to talk about how you can avoid them, why they're dangerous, and what you ought to say instead. It's no secret, and if you've ever been to a networking meeting, a chamber meeting, if you've ever sat with a group of your peers, you often hear things like, and maybe you have said this, and I hope not, we offer the best service. We have the most equipment. We do the job right the first time. We all have IICRC certifications. Oddly enough, I think that one's humorous because when I ask for people in the audience to tell me what IICRC stands for, very, very few people can, even though they already have those certifications. Sometimes you hear stuff like, we're the largest in the metro area, or we're number one, or we have 30 years of experience. Even a more annoying one to me, we use state-of-the-art processes. Nobody has been able to define exactly what state-of-the-art actually means. Oh, sometimes I even get, we care more. Boy, that brings a tear to your eye. We are the leading restoration company in the greater Chicago area or wherever. None of that is credible. None of that is believable. Some of it may marginally be true, but it's just platitudes. It's saying the stuff that you think they want to hear when in fact they really don't. Unfortunately, your competition is saying many of these things. A lot of this information I got from Googling and doing research and looking at 10 or 15 different restoration websites, and they proudly put this stuff on their websites. One brags, we're on site in less than 30 minutes. I really don't know how you can do that in most locations. First off, at 3 o'clock in the morning, it takes your crew more than 30 minutes to get woken up and dressed and on their way to the shop to get the company equipment. I've seen on the website, we're highly trained, we're highly qualified, we're IICRC experts, or we're IAQA experts. Some silly stuff like we leave the competition in the dust, or we're the leading restoration company, highly trained technicians, our innovative equipment enables us to fix problems that others can't. We are one of a few trusted residential contractors. First off, why are they saying residential when in their same website they're bragging that they also do commercial? I hope that you as a salesperson are not saying these kinds of things. They're platitudes, they're not credible, they're not believable, and they do more harm to your sales presentation than otherwise. Hit the right button here. A platitude number 2. If who else can say that includes any of your competitors, then it isn't appropriate. In other words, let's back up for just a second. If your competitors can say any of these or any of these, then it's not appropriate. You aren't standing out. You aren't unique. You aren't special. You're just lumping yourselves in with everybody else. And we don't want that to happen. And then platitude number 3, take your brochures, your company literature, and white out or scratch out your name on the literature. Cover your logo and insert your competitor's logo in place of yours. If your literature also fits your competition, in other words, it could easily pass as your competitors' brochures, folks, it's not appropriate. It's the wrong material. It's the wrong leave behind brochures. It kind of goes with you're using the same old thinking that was done 20 years ago, and you're going to still get the same old results. You'll love these next few screens. Website pages. I went to, I think, somewhere around 25 websites of some of my clients and some competitors of my clients, and what I saw just disheartened me and frustrated me. Mostly what I saw was blah, 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 blah. I hope your website isn't guilty of this. Is it bogus in the sense that it's just simply full of innuendo? It's full of platitudes. It's spewing the same crap that your competitors are spewing. I have on my desk 3 monitors. And so it's really fun when you go to 3 different websites and bring up 3 different websites on 3 different monitors and compare what's being said on each of those 3 websites. It's amazing to me how everybody says the same thing. Why wouldn't you want to be unique and different and special? Promising things that sound good, and then in fact they aren't fully 100% truthful. I'm going to read you, and I think it's important that I do read these so that you can start to see the trend. This is from a particular website. I did not include, for obvious reasons, the names of the companies that I did the research on the website. But this is one of them. One of the largest flood and fire restoration firms in the Northeast, with 17 employees, a fleet of trucks, and an impressive inventory of over 1,000 state-of-the-art drying tools. Using cutting-edge technology, we can handle any job, large or small. Our special and advanced equipment and techniques to remove the water quickly is the cornerstone of our business. And then I love the tagline at the end. Plus, when you add up Bob and Frank and Bill and Harry and Mary and Susie and Tommy, we have a combined experience of over 180 years. Yeah, that's credible. That's believable. Here's another classic. We are the most comprehensive resource for fire or water damage services, including mold and contents. We have the most effective cleaning methods available. Our entire cleaning crew is IICRC certified and uses state-of-the-art equipment and processes. We have the extreme extractor. We have high-tech air scrubbers and much more to help you recover. We even have, this one just killed me. We even have the D385 portable desiccant. I believe, if my memory serves me correct, that's a Phoenix product. How wonderful is it that they're even telling people the specific model number of a particular piece of equipment that they have in their inventory? Oh yeah, and by the way, we do residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional projects of all sizes. It gets even better, folks. This is from another website. Our highly skilled team of 20 full-time cleaning and restoration experts is always at the ready to be there when disaster happens. We specialize in the repair of property damage from, and get this, fire, smoke, water, sewage, mold, roof leaks, ice dams, wind damage, vehicle impact, tree falls, tornadoes, vandalism, trauma scene, chemical intrusion, and more. Oh my gosh. Plus, here's the really great one. We work directly with your insurance company. So I'm going to add in between the lines here. No, we're not a public adjuster. No, in every state in the U.S., we don't have the legal right to act on your behalf with your insurance adjuster, but we still say that we're going to work directly with your insurance company. Unless you're a public adjuster, you can't even legally do that. And then it says, we can even waive the deductible. How wonderful is that? The last one, we will pay up to $500 of your deductible. We provide free estimates. And once again, another website saying the same thing. And we work directly with your insurance company. We serve the greater, I'm not even going to tell you what region that is, the greater XXX area, with a full array of restoration services. And all of our service technicians are highly educated, trained, skilled, and I love this, folks, they actually misspelled IICRC. Yeah, I guess it's really difficult to spell IICRC. So they put in IRCRC. It's on the website. IICRC certified across all of our first class restoration equipment and procedures. And it's kind of like getting the Ginsu knives. Not only that, but our techs have undergone hands-on training with all of the tools and equipment of the trade, including all leading edge technology. And yes, folks, we care more. I'm going to tell you, these past four clips that I took from four different websites, it makes you almost sick. And if those of you that have been watching actually see the pattern for those four, is they're all saying almost the same thing. And when you're saying the same thing as your competitor, number one, it's not believable. Number two, nobody's going to lend you credibility or believability. Very few people are going to trust you, especially if you're calling on a client and you're leaving them brochures and material and information that says the same as everybody else in the stack of literature on the counter. So don't fall victim to that. So back to platitudes. Why are platitudes so dangerous? First off, platitudes don't separate you from your competitors. Platitudes, they don't qualify or specify anything. They're almost generic. They're just a baloney, warm and fuzzy. They're on almost every single case, platitudes aren't believable, and more importantly, platitudes aren't provable. We've learned over the years that when a salesperson uses platitudes, saying the stuff that allegedly they think the client wants to hear, it usually damages your credibility. Folks, please don't be a copycat. Be original. No matter how challenging or how difficult that is, be original. Number two, what should we say instead of platitudes? I'm going to make a couple suggestions here. There are actually, in one of my coaching processes, I spend time, a whole hour, on working with people to give them an idea of different ideas they can come up with, or ways they can come up with different ideas to create their own special, unique offering to their clients. For example, and I've just hit just a handful of them here. Give every customer a restoration bill of rights. Now, if you're going to ask me what a restoration bill of rights is, then I'm going to say invent it, create it. You're all very sharp, knowledgeable in this industry. Develop with your staff a restoration bill of rights created by you and provided in a nice, maybe even piece of parchment paper, printed out, and you give one of those to every single customer. Maybe you provide your customer with a 20 item or 18 or 36 item checklist on what the technician requirements should be, what you should expect from your technicians or the technicians on the job site. Maybe you could send a text to the customer just prior to the tech arriving at the job site for the first time, and include in that text a picture of the technician, some of the qualifications that that technician has, and even a short bio. Bob has 7 IICRC certifications. Here's a picture of Bob. And oh, by the way, Bob loves to hunt and fish, and he enjoys his 3-year-old child. Now, when the customer gets that, there's a comfort level there. Bob's normal. Bob's comfortable. Bob's trustworthy. They see a picture of him. They suddenly know a little bit about him. They feel a whole lot better. I know of a client that is sending out texts to their customers the first time the customer or the technician is going to arrive at the site. And the rave reviews, I mean, think about it. Bob arrives at the job site and the customer can say, thanks for the picture. Now I know who is coming to the door. And hey, I've got a 3-year-old baby too. You know, don't you just love watching Blaze or Tots or one of those crazy children's TV shows? Maybe you provide your clients with a disaster recovery code of ethics. Make sure your employees are abiding by the disaster recovery code of ethics. What is a disaster recovery code of ethics? Create it. Every single one of you on this webinar, and every single one of you that will watch this webinar later, is very capable of sitting down with your executive team and developing a disaster recovery code of ethics. Also, you could offer and then follow a very high-touch customer service policy. Again, you're all capable of that. And in fact, in having worked with many clients over the years, many of you have a customer service policy already in place that's really significant, but they don't share it with anybody. Yeah, it's an internal document, but they don't promote it. They don't brag about it. Be different. Provide that to your customer. Folks, the internet has given the power to your customer. It used to be, and now I'm going back, and part of it is telling my age, but 20 or 30 or even 40 years ago, the salesperson had the power because he's the one or she's the one that had the knowledge and the information and the details and the specs. And so they educated the customer. They were a vital part of helping the customer become knowledgeable and understand what it was that the customer was hoping to buy. The fact of the matter is Google took that all away. Today, the customer has the power, not the salesperson. And that's not entirely true. As a salesperson, you can learn ways to take control of the sale. In one of the next webinars coming up, I believe it's in December, we're going to be talking about how the salesman can take control, or at a bare minimum, give the illusion of control to their customer. Folks, we can't be perceived as salespeople. Why? People don't trust salespeople. In your head right now, you can instantly conjure up a vision of a salesperson that annoys you, that bothers you, that irritates you. And you can think of, and you probably do think of that annoying, cigar-chewing, high-pressure, disgusting used car salesperson. It's the stereotypical vision that we go to. But unfortunately, it's reality. People just don't trust salespeople as a rule. And even further, most people don't even like salespeople when they're in the role of being a salesperson. But interestingly enough, people do trust experts and people trust authority figures. A great example of that, you go to your doctor. You generally trust your doctor. Why? Because you perceive of him or her as an expert. You generally trust authority figures. You generally trust the policeman and the sheriff. Not everybody, and I'm looking at the list of who's on this webinar, and I know one that may not fully appreciate, enjoy the authority of the police. However, in general, the public trusts those in authority. I certainly trust my doctor. They are way, way smarter than me about things that relate to my health. And so it's really a great idea if you could work toward positioning yourself as an expert. We have to become experts. When we become an expert, it takes us out of the category of the everyday run-of-the-mill salesperson. Folks, it's not about being more talented than your competitor or another salesperson. It's not about being more charming. It's not about repeating platitudes, but it is going to take a lot of thought process to develop a self-promotion. I think most all of you know me fairly well, and one of my own weaknesses is that I'm not great at self-promotion. I'm getting better at it, but I'm not real great at it, or haven't been over the years. But what I've learned is that as I become more knowledgeable, or quote unquote an expert in a specific area, I need to do more self-promotion. And that same thing applies to you. You need to generate personal publicity. I highly encourage you to write articles or blog posts or engage in public speaking. Each one of those is useful, it's helpful, it's valuable, and it raises your level or position in your own field so that you are more likely perceived as an expert. And when you are perceived as an expert, it gives you a different level of power and authority within your circle. So ask yourself, what does my customer want or need that nobody else is offering? What are the customer hot button issues? What trips their trigger? What are their pain points? Well, I just rattled off a few of them here just to get you thinking about it. But maybe your customer is annoyed or aggravated because whatever contractor is going to arrive at their facility or their property or their home is terrible about showing up on time for their scheduled appointment. Maybe they get aggravated because 5 days on the job and 5 different project managers arrived, a different one every day. That would be really aggravating. Think about this. Think about visiting your doctor or doctor's office 5 weeks in a row. And each time you sat for 15 minutes with a totally different doctor. What will happen is that you're going to repeat yourself a lot. They're going to ask a lot of the same questions. There isn't any continuity. What the doctor said on week 1 might not be exactly the same interpretation or understanding of what the doctor said on week 2. So make sure that if one of your customer hot buttons is that they want the same project manager every day, make sure that happens. Stay in touch. I recently had a roof put on my house. I have a pretty big roof. And the salesperson that signed me up, sold me the roof, called me. It spanned about a week because here in Florida you have to have multiple inspections by the city to verify that each stage of the roof install is done correctly. So it took a period of 5 or 6 days, and every single day at the end of the day, the salesman called me to make sure there were no issues on my part, to give me an update of what they had achieved that day, and to tell me what was planned for the next day or the next visit. That's valuable to me. Failing to give your customer the illusion of control. Something as simple as, ma'am, I've parked out in the street. Is it all right? Do I have your permission to park in the driveway? And which side of the driveway would you like me to park on? That's giving the customer the illusion of control. That isn't giving them full control of you, but it's giving them a feeling that you're including them in some basic decisions. Nobody likes surprises about the pricing at the end. Nobody likes somebody disrespecting their property, feeling like they're not in control, lack of good communication. In today's world, every single technician, every single salesperson, every employee going on a job site ought to be wearing identification. They ought to have appropriate and clean uniforms. I can think of an HVAC company that sent the technician to do some service, and they looked like Little Orphan Annie. They were a ragtag bunch of rough and tumble, torn clothing, stains, and it was disgusting. That was one of my hot buttons. And then it could be as simple as failing to correctly set the right expectations. So in the power selling process, you have, or you should have, 3 totally unique and totally different considerations that apply to only you or to your company, and address one or more of their concerns or one of their hot buttons. Maybe your company offers upfront pricing. By golly, offer upfront pricing. Put your short price list out there and be proud of it, not be ashamed of it. And by bringing it out up front, especially in the commercial world, that lends you great credibility. Maybe you're going to offer a lifetime warranty on your labor. Why not? Maybe you have an in-house public adjuster. I have a client in the Northeast that has a public adjuster, a licensed public adjuster on staff. He's on payroll, but he is a public adjuster. Maybe you provide a concierge service for your customers. Something as simple as, hey, you're in a hotel, you your house is being repaired or taken rebuilt or remodeled by us, and so we know that getting your kids to daycare is a challenge in your new location. So we're going to provide one of our staff to take your child from the hotel to the daycare center or to pick the child up from daycare. That's a very simple version of a concierge service. Maybe you offer an exclusive pre-disaster program. I think most of you, I'm looking at the list, not everybody, but most people offer a prep program. Make it special, make it unique. Maybe you have a simple commitment that says either my staff shows up on time for an appointment or we pay you $100. That's putting your money where your mouth is. If you're going to promise something, back it up. Identify whatever the biggest pain, challenge, headache, issue is that your customer deals with, and then go about fixing it. What would the ultimate great company do to ensure that this problem never existed for their client? I don't know what it is, and in fact, whatever that problem is might indeed be different for every single client. So it's going to take asking some great questions, listening carefully to what your customer is saying. Maybe it's just important that you don't accidentally let the cat out of the house when you go to monitor the moisture readings. Successful salespeople think with their client in mind, not about what's in it for the salesperson. When you do that, you instill confidence in the client. They trust you more. You bring more credibility and ultimately more value. I encourage you, and this takes a lot of work, become an authority in your field, whatever that is. If you're selling the pre-disaster program, become an absolute hands-down authority. This is a good one. Become a celebrity. Now, I don't mean a celebrity like Dennis Rodman or Lady Gaga. I don't mean a national or international celebrity like we think of on TV. I mean more locally. Become recognized, become known. Develop your own personal brand that elevates your celebrity to a different level. Be unique. That includes, obviously, being different, being distinct. If I leave you with something significant in this slide, folks, having a new mindset means that you will have new results. The way you can say that the opposite is the same old thinking gets you the same old results. So come up with a new mindset. Develop yourself as an authority. Become a celebrity, at least within your local region. Have something unique about yourself that isn't easily copied. Successful salespeople will utilize well-designed, methodical, and repeatable sales systems. It's about them. I've said this probably in my career thousands of times. I said this before it wasn't even popular 20 years ago, but it's not about you. It's not about the salesperson. It's about the client. It's about the customer. It's about the prospect. However, you have to develop a systematic self-promotion. In other words, what is self-promotion? It's the ACE, A-C-E, authority, celebrity, and exclusivity. If you don't develop a systematic self-promotion and elevate yourself by authority, celebrity, and exclusivity, it will be much more difficult to get in front of the people that matter. If you can't get in front of, at a bare minimum, decision influencers and ultimately decision makers, you have no sale. I'm Dick Wagner. You've been watching the Crest Network. Any of you that were on here, you struggled with hearing, sound, you struggled with something that you missed that you wanted to catch, you got interrupted by a phone call, by all means, shoot me an email, and I will ultimately, here in the next few hours, have this saved as a video, and you'll be able to rewatch it 1,000 times. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.